It's been a while. Saturday, the 13th of December. Hyrox Pro, it's finally here. I am going to be heading to the exhibition centre, which is in the South District of Melbourne, later today, in about 10 hours, to complete and compete in Hyrox Pro, which is actually one of the 3 locations, I think, this year, or across the circuit of Hyrox, which hosts the Elite 15, which is the top 15 performing athletes around the world. So that's going to be pretty cool viewing. Efforts have been gearing a lot towards this. Obviously, once you're in, you do it properly. And being someone who's in the CrossFit background has a very generalized level of fitness with more than ample application that it can apply to many things. But when you're doing the Hyrox Pro instead of the Open, you're setting much different intentions than you would for doing the Open. The distances of running are all the same, but the stimulus is much harder, weight is heavier. I've been quite serious on the prep for this, which has basically meant I've upped my running a lot to compensate for the more lack of running that I do really. But I do still train a lot, which leads into the first problem we have, which is that I'm typically a morning trainer. I've become a product of my career, which is starting morning classes early in the day, 5, 6 a.m. That then cultivating my own lifestyle in many ways. One of those being my training has become dominant in that side of the day. Rarely would I ever train past 4 p.m, 5 p.m. My race time today is 6:30 p.m. Of course, rang the alarm bells as soon as I realized that. It presents certain physiological drawbacks in that because I'm someone who is waking 4, 5, 6 a.m, that 6, 7 p.m. is probably when my body is starting to wind down. The adenosine system is kicking in, which is telling me I'm gonna need to start getting ready for sleep, which, yeah, would be somewhat undeniable. I've had that in my thoughts. Am I gonna perform that well? Is it gonna be something that's playing in my psyche? Am I gonna find ways to be demotivated? Am I gonna not actually do that well? Then there's the adage of that, which goes some way back to my football days, of when you'd turn up on a pitch which was probably a little bit wet from the night before, the grass was all turned up, you're thinking, not going to enjoy this one today. But quite a simple saying, just get on with it. It's the same for both sides. So granted, you don't have it all your own way, such is life, but it's the same for everyone. If you do anything, you do it properly. So today, with the race being coming up on 10 hours away from now, my biggest job is to get the body and the mind ready, which is starting with the food, hydration, fueling throughout the course of the day. Most important of that, of course, in this wonderful world of Melbourne, is starting the day with good coffee. Morning, how's it going?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Can I please get a Flat White, small? Thank you, sir. Have a good day. And one thing I have to be sure I'm doing today is carb loading, so that's going to make sure that I'm having a pastry. I'd be nervous if I had, I guess, something which was at risk, like if I was going for a win, but I'm not. I am in no way close to the Elite 15, winning the Pro. I'm probably curious and more just excited, to be honest, to see what my efforts deserve. I have a kind of goal time in my head, which is said before is around about 1 hour and 10. But in all honesty, I don't think I've had the training metrics spot on to give me the most accurate representation of what to expect, just because I've had equipment's wrong here and there. Some conditions haven't quite been right to give me the most representative feel. So I really don't know what to expect. The only thing I can lean on and know will come to the forefront on competition day, when you're in the thick of it, there is another gear you can pull. Being in race mode against so many other people is going to give me people to always chase down on the run, people to be chasing down on the stations, and maybe bring up some average times. I am definitely confident for the stations, and then I'm confident with running in that the body can do it, take it, not be battered by it. But in terms of what that faster pacing is going to be, I really don't know. But until then, I've got to make sure this stays as a normal Saturday, which is kind of counter to that to begin with, because I would usually be coaching a class or taking part in a CrossFit class by now on a Saturday morning. So the goal is to not exert the body too highly, take it easy this morning, do some laptop work, keep the food coming, and I'll head down to the exhibition centre around 3 p.m. and then the fun will start really, and I'll be sure to take you along for the journey with me. We are into the first big meal. I'm probably going to try and eat every maybe 2 hours or so, and they will be of significant substance, protein, carbs, fibre, and then once we get to about 3 hours before, I'll stop all that and go to more refined carbs. But for now, it is going to be 5 eggs, some avocado, in butter, some toast, which decent macro count. I have this quite often, and it is important on competition day to try and not diverge your nutrition too much from what you're used to, because your body will also react to that in ways that aren't quite regular, and that is what you don't need on competition day. It's nice and simple. I think it's 1,000 calories, which is where the most subtle parts of my nutritional regime kick in, which is more just increased fats, so a little bit more than your average serving size of avocado, and some butter thrown in there as well. I do have quite a high fat content in my typical diet, but today again is that more concerted effort to get more carbs in. Does that just mean more coffee? And here's the second one. It's prepare to fail. I needed to come out and get a few things just to reduce decision fatigue and to get some meals and stuff like that. Prep for the rest of the day really. I just want it to be here. It's like anything, unless you know you got plans throughout the rest of your day, you are sitting around waiting for that thing to happen. Because I know it's something I'm going to be doing. It's like all I'm thinking about. I'm excited, can't wait to be there, see what the atmosphere is like. I'll probably just end up going a little bit earlier anyway. And after that, we're left with a few things. So here is the last minute shopping haul, I guess. Apples, bananas, Powerade before, Powerade after, less sugar. Chicken, that was planned to be had, but I didn't fancy the cooking, so I've got myself a kind of protein meal that's high in carbs. I don't need to worry about that. And this will take me up to around about just shy of maybe 3,000 calories. That high presence of carbs, which is basically meaning I'm not going too heavy on the fats today so that my digestion isn't working harder than it should be. Amidst the stress I'll be subjecting the body to once we get down to the race. It's coming together nicely. Touchdown south side, and the weather has alleviated a little bit. There's a bit of a chill in the air now, which is quite nice to know that it's not going to hopefully impact the arena too much. 10-minute walk to get us there, and I'm going to watch a couple of friends before my race. So I've got some friends on at 4:30, some more friends on at 5:30, and then I'm on at 6:30. Somewhat of a late fitness test. I've had this kind of bruised dead leg feel on the outer side of my quad, which I'm not averse to them. They happen, but then this wasn't going. After a few days of like dialing back, I was wondering if I'd hit some kind of tear, but I didn't feel anything click or go. I've done my research, and basically there's a combination of factors which have pissed off my IT band. And one thing when your IT band is inflamed is you can't foam roll it, it just annoys it even more. But you have to smash the hips, TFL, your glutes, maybe the insertion point, which is like where your IT band meets the knee. Sitting on a foam roll for a good while, basically a full body mobility before we left. Had an apple banana and feeling loose, feeling good to go. That was accumulating from the obvious increase of running and me not really backing off how big my strength numbers in CrossFit and lifting have been going, and then something spilling over the edge, which is fine. Data, always learning, but hopefully we've reined it back just in time to see what we can really do. Venue is live, and the last bit of fuel, a Powerade loaded with sugar, which is my last bit of carbs pre-race. So this is the last bit of fueling I've got. It lasts about 30 minutes or so. Until then, the only thing to do is hydration with minimal carbs, no protein. Let the gut do its thing. This looks a little bit different to last time. Last time you had to walk across the track, probably where that line is. Now you're going over. I didn't think it was actually going to be that busy here. When I turned up, the spectator queue was empty. And then I just walked outside now and it's full. But here's me thinking that the pro is put in the evening because it's quieter. That is far from the case. Oh yeah! Been supporting a few people, staying in the atmosphere, but you realise that you probably need to get off your feet just for a little while. Otherwise it ends up being in excess of 2-3 hours that you're on them, and you're not really getting much rest before the race begins. Your central nervous system's taking a little bit of a beating, so I kind of just brought myself outside just to calm down a little bit, and then I will start the preparations very shortly. I start in 44 minutes from now. better than last year, which should hopefully help preparations.
You got it. It'll shake out. Let's go,
Get it, Nate. Great work, mate.
Well done, Nate.
Lovely, mate. You can tell he lunges 200 kilos. Let's go, mate. 30's a walk in the park. Come on, Nathan.
Stunning. Excellent.
It's hard, that's what I deserve. It's just hard. That's hard. Thank you. Is that too at least? Finally, reflecting over my performance. Initially, my thoughts were rather disappointed in the outcome. And that isn't something I deserve from my efforts, because that's a year-round thing. But it's expectations I derived out of thin air. And to reflect on race performance, I got something wrong early on and paid the price from early on. Drawn into the pacing to begin with, which was fast, but it's only half a lap to begin with, that's fine. Ski moved all right. That was kind of the plan, in that I would hold sub 4 minutes, and then the running after that, I probably went a little bit too fast, hit the sled push, and then from there the wheels started to fall off. The sled was just moving so much slower than I wanted it to. I'd wrapped my hands around the neck of the poles and started using that to push, rather than wrapping the whole arms around and using more so leg drive. So I was using full body drive, which was fatiguing the CNS, the body, everything way much harder than it should have been. It made me just flatline. I finished the run, finished the sled, as you can see, and then from there I had to walk. My legs were just full lactic acid. They felt heavy. I couldn't move them. I was like, I cannot run here. I had to walk past everyone, have them still cheering me on, and I'm thinking, oh, this is so hard. It then took me 3 to 4 laps after that, in all honesty, to regain any composure on my running. The preceding sled pull was just ridiculously hard. It took way longer than I thought it should, and this is where the compounding effect then begins. It took me, as you can see from the data, over 4, 5, maybe 6 minutes, I think, and that is not something I want to hold myself to from a standard point, but that is where the spillover is already beginning. Running after that still was awful, just in recovery mode. Get to the burpees, do those, not bad, and then get to the fourth run, and only then I can start to feel some recovery, some ability to regain my pacing, breathing, and not feel as in fight or flight mode once I was on that second lap. And then from there I kind of grew into the race a little bit more, but each station basically equated to just over 9.5 minutes per station, including the run, which is just meaning overall that's taken too long for the goals that I probably would like to get to, not necessarily deserve, but want. Row was probably the most comfortable. Like last time, it was confident in my composure and technique, and you know, if you keep an eye to your periphery of the people who are rowing next to you, you realize that they aren't rowing well at all. So clearly that was one of the better parts of my performance. Running again, still semi-decent. It's not like as terrific as I thought it would be. Probably held to around 5 minutes per K. Farmers carries, they went decent. I hit one full rotation lap of that unbroken, and then kind of split the rest of it just to preserve some grip. But even then, the idea that I was preserving grip was probably something I could have held on for normally if I was more fresh. So again, we see the compounding coming in. The lunges is where I found some interesting data, in all honesty. So I'm confident with lunging. I got it at my back, and then you start to feel like this sagging effect. So you're letting the chest arch over, which is where all you need to do is treat it like a barbell back squat and engage your traps a lot more, which basically pulls you into that more upright position. And that made the lunges feel so much better. And I know for a fact that that is what was crumbling people. Another thing that was happening was this cramping sensation in the right quad only, which is what I was finding out when I was talking to other people. They were saying the lunges felt hard, and I was thinking, this is interesting. Which leg did you feel this struggle on? And it was always the right leg, which makes sense, because if we're always turning a left turn for 8 turns per K, that's been done 6 times before you get to the lunges. You've turned left, which is placing more strain on the right leg, steering the turning, and more stress through the VMO, which is that teardrop muscle at the end of the quad. So then once I realized that that was cramping, I was like, this can't happen. So I then did the majority of the lunges on my left leg. It felt great, because when I would then go back to the right leg, it would want to respond negatively. So left leg may be a winner from there for anyone who's looking for any advice. It got to the last run, and I thought I'll try and conserve a little bit, just because I wanted to go for the wall balls unbroken. That was the kind of challenge I set for myself beforehand. So naturally that pulled the pace back, because I wanted to see what I could do. I got to around 60, but it's clear then that the compounding from earlier in the race has just done far too much. I had to drop it. It then took me 3 more sets after that to finish the wall balls, and I then stumbled across the finish line. Really suffered after that. I asked for a Red Bull because it was late in the evening. I said, is it caffeine free? They said yep. When I managed to check the label, it showed 80 milligrams. You don't know your product. And then I probably guzzled 7 or 8 cups of water before then getting the queue, and still feeling sorry for myself. And as I'm looking around, I'm seeing more and more people who just look more fresh than I do. I'm white. I am suffering. I'm trying to regain my heart rate. I'm trying to calm things down. I'm trying to just feel normal. And that was a theme of the race. And one thing that I kind of looked forward to was this idea of trying to chase people consistently on the runs, where I would always be trying to overtake someone, and that would help to dictate my pacing. But because I got it wrong so early on, I was always in recovery mode, and my running never felt composed. I always felt like I was the one being overtaken, and if I ever did overtake someone, I would then see them run back past me. It's just a learning curve more than anything. So yes, on reflection, I was probably someone who was a bit low down by it, but it's probably more confusion that I got something so wrong. And that's fine. This is all part of the learning curve. But the biggest analogy I can give to this, for someone who does CrossFit so often, and it's part of your regular training cycle, it prepares you very well for a whole host of events and tests. When I did a half marathon, I did a very good performance. I couldn't then go and do a marathon. I would have to go specific on training for the marathon to condition the body to tolerate and perform well on the marathon. I think similar applies to Hyrox, in the Hyrox Open weights and performance is doable. You could push a good time, basis a general level of training, capability, experience. But then once you get to the pro, that's a different game. That's when you have to go more specific to Hyrox training, to working the sleds, to compromise running, to really grow the first part of the race, which then bleeds into the next part of the race. That would be the ideal prep, which leads into the idea of, would I ever do another Hyrox? And after this, maybe. I'm definitely curious by the data, and I can see how the patterns of improving certain movements would then allow better times. Simply improving in running by 30 seconds per K would have a massive impact. And really improving on the sleds to get, 4 minutes down. And my phone died, so I'll continue where we left off. Yes, the sled would take more work. The sled pull would also take more work. And then there is just a general carryover of holding high output on the running. Average times of around, 4:34 comfortably, which then means you are in a position where you can recover well after stations under fatigue, but then also train that compromised running state a lot more. Training on heavy legs, basically. That's what I need to do a lot more of, which is something that may become a passive feature of my training over the next year or so, because this is a fun event which does reach Melbourne each year, and it's a great event in the exhibition centre, which is also hosting the Elite 15, so it's also cool viewing, and it's great to know that's here in the cities. So that could be something that stays in the training ethos over the next year or so. But for now, I'll be reverting somewhat back more towards CrossFit, but there will still be a presence of running and definitely sled work here and there in my training. The event itself is fantastic. It's ran well, it's well organized. There's always people there to help you. They know exactly the protocols, where you should be going, direction. If you have questions, they're there to answer them, or they'll point you into the direction of someone who does. The flow of the race is easy to follow. It's well laid out so people can get around and cheer you on, get the content, that kind of stuff. And aside from that, yeah, of course, it's a great fitness test. It's a nice add-on to CrossFit. It's a nice add-on to weightlifting. It's a nice add-on to anything. It's something that would only benefit people. Of course, it's not something that should then replace anything else. If you are someone who's already living a busy lifestyle and are trying to get to, your 3, 4, 5 CrossFit classes a week, to me then say that you would benefit, your CrossFit would improve from doing more Hyrox, something would have to give. You'd have to swap things out on a weekend, or, take less classes away. And ultimately, it's about finding whatever balance works well for you. And I've had a few votes of encouragement that maybe I was probably being hard on myself, and people tell me that my efforts have been good. And it's not that I don't believe that. It's probably just a hangover, maybe, of what I wanted to get out of this. I guess to prove to myself that I'm at a certain level. And initially, that was me thinking I'm like, I don't know, not good enough. But then obviously on reflection, that is not the case at all. I'm still a very good athlete. It's just this idea of specializing in a more specialized element of a sport that would then allow you to earn the targets that you set for yourself. If that does become a more prominent target down the line, yeah, of course, these kind of efforts would ramp up. You would see a more direct correlation of training, which would impact Hyrox ability, capability, scoring, that kind of stuff. But for now, I'm just grateful for the experience, and I hope people have learned something by this, or at the very least just enjoyed watching the video. It's been a while since I made something like this, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful, and if there was anything that you would want to see next time, you have any questions, anything like that, be sure to reach out, leave comments in the video, like, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. And thank you for the support. I'll catch you on the next one.